Ahead on DC News Now, devastating flooding in Western Maryland. The latest on the recovery efforts now underway.
It's going to be turning a little hot and humid with still the chance for storms. As we head toward the end of the week, we'll time out when things are most likely to be stormy heading into Friday.
The Supreme Court hears arguments on birthright citizenship.
That makes me angry just because it's a constitutional right from the very beginning.
Protesters rallying to defend the Constitution.
A major retailer warns price hikes are on the way. The latest impacts from the president's tariffs.
Grab your tickets. The Commanders' 2025 schedule is out. How fans of the Burgundy and Gold feel about the future matchups.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Tosin Fakile. Mark Hall has tonight off. Cleanup efforts underway in Western Maryland this afternoon after dangerous floods ravaged parts of Allegheny County this week. Schools there closed for a second day in a row today. Maryland Governor Wes Moore is expected to travel to that area this evening to survey the damage left behind. We find DC News Now's Randy Bass on the ground in Western Port where crews are getting to work. Randy.
Yes, crews on the ground here in Western Port say it all happened so fast, saying those floodwaters rose to almost 5 feet above Main Street here. The mayor telling us today she estimates the damage is in the millions.
Helping hands and heavy machinery aiding in the muddy, messy cleanup in the aftermath of severe floods in Mountain, Maryland.
The end of the day is the recovery mode. We're still working with residents on flooding, if there's any flooding at their residence and stuff like that.
Western Port's Main Street hit especially hard. The town's fire department flooded out. Hundreds of books destroyed at the library as those floodwaters rose, nearing 5 feet.
It happened that fast. Within an hour, you had all that water down there in the school.
Down the road, the Office of the State Fire Marshal says more than 150 students and staff had to evacuate from area schools as floodwaters rose toward first-floor ceilings at Western Port Elementary. On Thursday, murky, muddy water still sitting around the school, cars waiting in the parking lot. Families who had to go through those waters to get to their children say they wish they'd heard from the schools as it was happening.
My daughter was in school up there at Georges Creek, and she actually called me from her phone, and she was scared. And usually they'll send you a text or a message or anything, but then nothing. We never got no message or nothing.
Allegheny County Public Schools says a dozen students and several staff members spent the night at nearby Mountain Ridge High School until families could pick them up Wednesday morning. Back in Western Port, the mayor leaving residents with a hopeful message.
We're here for you. We've been in these positions before and we've always come back.
The fire department is accepting donations to help replace gear lost in the flood. The mayor is asking anybody in need of assistance to reach out to the city. In Western Port, I'm Randy Bass, DC News Now.
Randy, thank you for that report. And the relentless flooding is forcing emergency evacuations all over Western Maryland. Coming up at 4:30, DC News Now, Stephen Cohen speaks with people forced out of their homes. He tells us what they're doing as they wait for the okay to start the cleanup. And we're going to talk to meteorologist Damon Matson right now. And Damon, it doesn't look the best over there, but at least they had that break today with the sunshine to kind of help cleanup efforts move along.
Yeah, it's all important, Tosin. Even if it's just a short break like we are expecting here, that makes all the difference to allow those floodwaters to go down and for some of that cleanup to begin. Now, we're still seeing the after effects of all of that heavy rainfall that caused the flash flooding in Western Maryland. No alerts out that way as the water levels have been able to go down, but we still do have multiple flood warnings along the Shenandoah, the Potomac rivers here, crossing portions of the DMV as water levels continue to rise downstream. And we have moderate flooding going on from all the way up near Washington and Jefferson counties down to the DC metro and even along the Rappahannock River in Virginia. We're still going to be dealing with those flood warnings for at least the next day or two. Now, this has been the longest break we've had without any additional rainfall. It's still fairly quiet on the radar loop. Nothing going on, but we are watching as a warm front starts to nudge in here this evening. There is the chance for a couple of isolated showers and storms, especially down across Virginia. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that as we move here at least up until around sunset. But even though today that storm chance may be ending quickly, we're far from done. We have more severe weather likely on the way tomorrow. The entire area under a level 2 risk for severe storms. We'll talk about that incoming severe threat, time it out as to when these storms may arrive on your Friday, coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. Let's talk hockey. It's win or go home tonight as the Washington Capitals take the ice for Game 5 of the second round of NHL playoffs. Now, they're back in the district, hoping to make some magic happen as the Carolina Hurricanes lead this series 3-1. Sports reporter Jake Rom joining us live at Capital One Arena. All right, Jake, this is not a place we want it to be. So it's now or never for the Caps. What do they need to do to get that dub tonight?
Yeah, Tosin, a lot of things. Like you said, must win Game 5 here tonight at Capital One Arena. And like you also said, 3-1, they're down in this series to the Carolina Hurricanes. What we know is they went on the road for Games 3 and 4, lost both of those games down in Carolina by a combined score of 9-2. So a lot needs to change moving forward tonight. And when Washington returning home tonight at Capital One, looking to avoid that 3 straight game losing streak. They've only done that one other time this entire season. The players, knowing the scenario that they're in, it's win to stay alive, lose, and the season's over.
Finding the back of the net, working to do that. We're going to use the energy in our building to get us going, and we'll start with the first period and go from there.
You got to stay loose. It's another game. Obviously, we know what situation we're in, but there's no point in stressing over it. It's just another hockey game. I think we got to go out there and just do our job and work as hard as we can, and hopefully good things happen.
No, we did a great job finding ways to not let one loss pile into 2 and 3, and obviously we need that now. So, our backs are against the wall, of course, but got a lot of belief in this team and what's to come. So we're excited.
So this team's really going to try to, feel the fan base get behind them here tonight at Capital One Arena. And at pivotal moments during games here at Capital One Arena, they always play a video on the screen. It's Unleash the Fury. The fans get excited and everything. So what better way to unleash some more fury than to give them a rally towel that says it, right? We got to unleash the fury tonight as the Caps try to stay alive here. Game 5 at Capital One Arena tonight at 7 p.m. Tosin.
All right, Jake. So I know the coach has said it, and we know that they've been overshot so far in this series. So in your opinion, do you think is take every shot, or what is the strategy here? Because losing, in my opinion, is not an option.
Yeah, it's definitely not an option, Tosin. Like I said, it's win or go home for this team, and what they need to do is to get the puck out of the defensive end. It seems like Carolina has had their way with the amount of shots that they've taken in this series, and it's because of the fact that they're on their heels, the Capitals, the entire series, trying to keep Carolina out of their zone. So it's going to be hopefully more offensive production tonight, and Spencer Carberry believes that you just need to do a little bit better in a few categories, and one of them being the offensive side of the puck, to hopefully give them a chance to take this back to Carolina later in the week.
We're hoping for that dub tonight. Jake, thank you so much. Unleash that fury. All right, we're switching gears now. Developing now, Arlington firefighters rescue 2 people trapped inside an apartment building during a fire. Officials say the fire started just after 6 this morning on South Quebec Street near South George Mason Drive. They say the fire was in the stairwell of that apartment building. Crews had to use a ladder to get the people trapped out. 2 people were taken to the hospital. It's unclear what started this fire. In Northeast D.C., police say a 9-year-old boy is seriously hurt after an SUV hit him earlier this week. D.C. police say it happened on Minnesota Avenue Northeast near Benning Road Northeast on Monday. Police learned the dark-colored SUV has Maryland plates and a woman was driving. The license plate number is unknown. If you know anything about this crash, D.C. police want to hear from you. Tariff whiplash is having a lasting impact on the U.S. economy, and the latest reports show the stock market is drifting as we manage President Donald Trump's trade war. Today, the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average both rising less than a point. The NASDAQ Composite not as lucky, dropping less than a point. Treasury yields sank in the bond market after reports that shoppers are spending less than experts expect. And new today, a major retailer announcing it will raise prices in response the president's tariff. Walmart, now the latest company to pass those rising costs onto customers. DC News Now's Marielle Carbone is live at the Walmart in Northeast DC. Marielle, I can't imagine. How are customers responding to this?
Well, Tosin, they aren't happy. Many of them tell me that they choose to shop at Walmart because the prices tend to be lower and that any increases will impact their wallets.
I choose to shop at Walmart because it's the prices and it's cheaper and you can get stuff what you want.
But those value prices could soon be in jeopardy as the retail store warns price hikes are on the way.
It's going to make people angry because the prices that people can't afford. They ain't working and they can't afford all that high price of stuff.
Thursday, Walmart announcing plans to raise prices in response to President Trump's tariffs, including a 30% import tax on all Chinese goods.
It'll affect everybody. Whoever shop here.
In a statement, Walmart CEO Doug McMillon said, "We will do our best to keep our prices as low as possible. But given the magnitude of the tariffs, even at the reduced levels announced this week, we aren't able to absorb all the pressure given the reality of narrow retail margins."
I think it's quite a shame.
Anderson Hall says he mainly shops at Walmart for electronics and clothing.
Because it's convenience, locally nearby, very friendly environment.
But he worries how the price hikes will impact those who rely on the store for groceries.
I think everything should be low. I think everything should be free. Food should be free. Food is not one-on-one in my opinion. You know, everybody needs nourishment. Everybody needs water to survive. You shouldn't put a price on someone's survival.
And those price hikes already began slowly back in April, but Walmart says that'll accelerate this May and that customers will feel the biggest impacts in June and July during that back-to-school shopping time. Reporting live in Northeast, I'm Marielle Carbone, DC News Now.
Marielle, thank you. A project 20 years in the making, now approved. Today, WMATA passed a Tacoma Community Development Project. It would bring 17,000 feet of retail space and a park to the Tacoma Park community. The project also includes 434 residential units. WMATA says 15 to 25% of them are intended to be affordable. There's also plans to improve the Tacoma Park station. The board will now work on the design and financing through 2026. And if it is approved, it's expected to be finished by summer 2029. Looking ahead to DC World Pride DC, Metro says it's planning to adjust for the huge crowds they're expecting. A spokesperson says Metro Rail will close at 2 a.m. It's an hour later on June 6th and 7th. It will also open at 6 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And World Pride DC kicks off this weekend. You can stay up to date on street closures and transit updates. Just go to text World Pride to 888-777. That number is on your screen. All right, still to come here on DC News Now at 4. Protesters rally for birthright citizenship outside the Supreme Court as justices appear to be divided over those arguments. And the schedule is out. We're talking to Commanders fans who can't wait for football season to kick off. You're watching DC News Now at 4, covering the news where you live all across the DMV. Stay with us. We'll be back with more.